Say y'all, Pelicans overrated or underrated going into the trade deadline?
Mm.
You know me, you know Lito. What y'all think? Baby.
You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Shout out to Stunner.
Man, Stun in the city, man. Stun in the city.
Yes, man. I first of all, before I get into his intro, I've seen Stunner next to people that I was told he would never be next to or take a picture with or
Right.
have any type of. Well, I can't say that they have a relationship now, but shout out to any type of even visual unity that we thought we would never see in the city. But shout out to Stunner and Slim showing up, kicking it in the city recently. I think they were still there today.
Yeah, man. I seen Stun in a couple different places. Energy in the city feel different. It feels like everything is in line. You know what I'm saying? Like the prodigal son has returned home.
A line, you say?
Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, speak or welcome to another episode of In Space. I'm your host, Chris Connor. Shout out DraftKings Sportsbook, Birdside Law Firm, Jägermeister. You will hear from DraftKings Sportsbook in the middle of the show. Let's get back to that, Lito. Aligned.
Mm.
Things coming together. The Pelicans are 29 and 21.
Yep.
And I got some things, some pictures here, some overlays for you of the conversation surrounding the team. And we ain't necessarily got to get into the civil war and social media that always exists. I just think, I think there'll always be a difference in opinion on these subjects between every fan base.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even in winning, there's always going to be disagreements, which I think is good. Is good for the soul that people can have, realistic, balanced conversations without getting emotional. You feel me?
As long as they're productive. As long as they're
Yeah,
productive.
yeah. You lean somewhere. I mean, that's it. But Pelicans are 29, 21, and we could be real, depending on who you ask. There are folks that are optimistic about it. There are folks that are happy, folks that are content, and there are folks that aren't so content. That are more pessimistic. That are rolling their eyes about it. I guess I'll start off by asking you, where are you at with where the Pelicans are currently at right now in the Western Conference? Whether they're leading up to the trade deadline, where they may or may not make a move. Are they over or are they underrated?
I think that they're rated just fine. I think that where they are right now, the rating that they have, they're seventh in the West. I think that's an accurate rating, and
Okay.
I'm not saying that that's good or bad. Actually, no. Let me take that back. I'm not saying that's bad at all because um my wish for them was a top 6 seed. They're in 7th. I'm really not asking for a lot. I don't need them to be a top 4 seed. I don't intend on the Pelicans winning the championship this season. I just want to see. I want to see internal growth. I want to see steps. Right, you made it to You made it to the play-in playoffs a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now I like for you to win your first round matchup. I feel like the Pelicans are rated just fine where they at. They haven't listen. You can say what you want about coaching. You can say what you want about rotation. You can say what you want about uh, consistency and sustainability. They're having a good season.
Yeah, that almost knocked out my headphones here. Yo, word to y'all. If y'all do shows or content or whatever, make sure you keep up with your headphones. I I left my headphones in my car because I typically bring them with me when I go work out. I left them in the car, forgot about them, and now I'm using my girlfriend's headphones that do not they just aren't the same. Keep up with your headphones,
They
man.
look a little snug. They look a little snug.
Yeah. I'm not a fan, but shout out to headphones. Yeah. So Pelicans right now, in regards to the standings, like you said, they're in the 7th seed. They're tied with Phoenix right now, who is currently playing Milwaukee. By the end of the night, the Pelicans could be position in the 6th seed if the Suns were to lose. And then you have the Kings right there that are in the 5th seed. They are about a half a game better than the Pelicans. We know the Pelicans have that tiebreaker and by sweeping the Kings. Do they play again?
That's a good question. Hold up.
I feel like they got another game in Sacramento, but I'm forgetting if the playing game counted or not. I don't remember. But all in all, they won that series. So if it does come to a tiebreaker between the two, the Pelicans have that. They have a few more games left to play with Phoenix as well. Behind them, Dallas. They're a game and a half better than Dallas. They're 3 games better than the Lakers, who they play later on. Friday, and then they are about 3.5 to 4 games ahead of the Jazz, and then you have the cutoff Warriors, Rockets, so on and so forth.
You play Sacramento April 11th.
Okay, there you go. So you still got a game left with them, but null and void. I only mention those teams because it seems to be a separation in regards to the best teams in the West, the clear-cut best teams in the West: Denver, Minnesota, OKC, and the Clippers. I don't know why, but I forgot or didn't realize the Thunder are now the best team in the West as we currently stand.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so it seems to be a little bit of, and this could all change. You got enough games left, a little bit over 30 games left, to which, we've seen teams go on losing streaks, other teams get hot, but it feels like that's the separation right now. You got the top 4, and then you pretty much got 5 through, let's say, 8 or 9, and then there's a drop off. So, I mean, look, I asked Lito, we tried to record a show before this, and I wanted to ask him if he was ungrateful, because one of the sentiments that I'm seeing with people that feel like if you're not happy about where the team is, or you're overcritical, that you're not grateful about this right here that I'm about to show. Christian Clark put out an article. If you haven't read it, please go find his Twitter. Go search his name online. You will see it. He put out the Pelicans are 29-21 is their best record through 50 games since 2011. Their success is rooted in their best players' availability. So, where's the disconnect here, Lito? Because I know my thoughts, but where's the disconnect between someone saying that the Pelicans are 29-21, they're the best that they've ever been at this point of any season since they've entered the league, and those that are saying we want more?
I mean, one more is just a human element of life. Like, that's just something to not be satisfied with your current state of whatever it is. Whatever you have, it can always be better. You can always be better at something. There can always be growth. There can always be elevation. I am to see that graphic that you put up. Shout out to CC about what he said. Yeah, man. Like, I'm excited that the team are that they're 29-21. I'm excited that they're 7 in the West. They're on a 3-game winning streak. I think their last 10 games they split 5-5. You're decent on the road. You're decent at home. I think you're 14-11 on the road, and I think at home you 15-10 or something like that. So, by all intents and purposes, whether people want to complain about rotations, minute allocations, lack of plays and set plays for certain people, you're having a successful season. But by far and by large, I think when people hear us talking basketball, I think you got to kind of keep this in mind too. We have to watch every game. You got to be a part of every stream. So you got to be, abreast of the situation. So I can't tell it to you like a fan. I can't be a fan, because at the end of the day, that's not fair to the person listening, because everything is not all sunshine and rainbows. I got to give it to you unbiasedly. And sometimes you got to pull yourself away from the situation and listen and watch and look at it with, unfamiliar eyes. Like I don't want to be like, bro, like people have relationships with people on the team. People have relationships with people's parents on the team. Like, but when I'm doing this or you're doing this, I can't just say, hey man, this shit is great. Everything is fine. Like whatever, whatever. You gotta call it how you see it that particular day. And sometimes, you know, you looking at it from a perspective of the future, right? So for instance, there's a narrative. I was talking to this guy on Twitter yesterday about Brandon Ingram, and people swear I don't like Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, my favorite player on the team. My favorite player on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like I was excited when Brandon Ingram got traded from the Lakers. However, when you look at the money allocations coming up, when you look at play style, you look at certain things, like I'm just trying to be unbiased towards the situation. However, I can tell you this. What he did yesterday, that was incredible. We just want to see more of it. We want it to be consistent. And that's the issue or one of the things with this team, just consistency.
So I got a text for one of my partners the other day. He said a lot of people want you to enjoy the now, right? They want you to enjoy the now, whether you're playing a bad team, whether you're playing a good team. They want you to enjoy even the small victories now. But he said they want you to enjoy the now until you become Atlanta, right? And I said, yeah, because and what I took from that, Lito, is a lot of this is about perspective. Like whether, I break this down to what people do for a living, for example, or what type of path they choose. You got people that decide early or late, I'm not working for nobody anymore. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna find a way to make my own money. You know what I'm saying? You got people that say, $50,000 a year ain't good enough for me. $100,000 a year ain't good enough for me. I want to be a millionaire. I'm gonna be a millionaire. But you also got people that been working at a job for 20 years. They got they got their salary, they got their raises, they retire at 55, 60 years old. They got their retirement plan, they good. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got people that work their way up corporate ladders and deal with bullshit that, maybe you and I may not want to deal with. I mean, we run into them, we meet them, we talk to them every day. I don't look at that person no different than I look at myself when I look in the mirror. However, I wouldn't put my expectations on them, and I wouldn't want them to put their expectations of what they're satisfied with on me. And I think that's where the biggest disconnect is in this discourse. It's like, cool. Like if you cool with 29 and 21, if you cool with, with every single part of this process and you not looking down the line, cool. But don't rain on my parade for saying, all right, this is cool, but I'm already looking to the Clippers on Friday. I'm already looking to the Lakers. If you ask me, I could tell you all the small victories that I'm happy about. I could list them. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, the expectations have to change for, I think, the organization to change, for every single person to change. And sometimes they got to change game to game, day to day, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you're doing this. We saw a flash of it last year. Zion got hurt. Brandon came back later than, his injury was worse than expected. He came back later than expected, whatever the story is. And, you end up being a mediocre team. But this year you got a chance to be a little bit better than that. But it's okay to say, there's still room for improvement. I'm still looking beyond that. I'm looking at what is this team going to look like in a playoff series, because that is the goal. Everybody don't want to just be Portland. Everybody don't want to be Utah. When I name those teams, I'm talking about teams that have consistently, and I'm talking before Portland, before Dame left, they consistently, right. You can count on them making the playoffs, count on them in some cases. We saw from Utah with Utah for years. You can count on them winning 45 to 50 games, maybe winning a series, best case get into the Western Conference Finals, but they don't have enough to win a championship.
Yeah.
And I think it's all right for that person to say, yo, I want this team to win a championship. I talk about this team. I'm invested in them because I want them to be the best.
Yep.
And Because at some point, if you ask a Portland fan, you ask a Utah fan, they were like, okay, this is cool. We're happy about this, but we want more. Now, I understand you got to get there first. I understand you have to get there first. I'm not upset by that. But some of us choose to project further down the line because maybe you see things that are going that are problems that you are going to run into that you want to address now. And whether that's current certain players on the team that you don't think work well together, or that you don't think are going to be worth the money that may handicap you, maybe it's the coach. Whatever the case may be, it's okay. But where the conversation breaks down is with somebody like, yo, man, you being too negative. Or yo, you being this. Well, most of us, bro, we don't bother nobody. Bro, I get on Twitter 9 times out of 10 this time. I'm just telling you random things that pop into my head. Random observations.
Yep.
Random observations. Random things that I'm thinking about watching something or looking at something or thinking about something that happened to the game. That's it. I'm not getting on Twitter to find something that you said that I don't like or disagree and set you straight. Maybe
Yep.
I was that way a couple years ago. Not today. So that's that, man. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's okay for everybody to have different levels of excitement and expectations. Like, if you think because I don't, I'm not jumping out of my chair going crazy about every single play or every single part of a Toronto game. If you think just because I'm not doing that, I'm not happy that they won. Well, I mean, come on, like, I mean, let's be real. I'm much happy. Of course, I'm happy that they won, but it don't move me anymore. I've seen you can do that. I want to see you do that against the Clippers. I want to see you do that against the Lakers. I want to see this team go on a run and have a chance to be elite. And that's no different from the person that's going to the game saying this team is fun and they okay with fun. Cool, bro. That's good for you.
Cool. Right. And that's what being a fan is. Like, however you want to be a fan, you be a fan. However you want to consume the game is fine. Like, consume it, cheer for it, rationalize it, however you want to. But you don't have to tell other people how they should.
Yeah.
Like, just because you were, like you said about the Toronto, bro, I mean, they beat a team by 40. That's fucking crazy. Like, I love that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I think, when we put in context that they're a bad team, that's okay. That's cool. They beat a bad team because at the end of the day, like I said on Twitter and on a Pro Pals Talk, you can only play the teams in front of you. I'm not saying I'm not happy with the victory because that shit's still going in and it's still going in the win column at the end of the day. So I'm definitely happy to see it. I see, people were saying a lot of talk about, well, when they played this team, when they played that team, the talk about it was louder. And this there wasn't enough talk about this particular win. And like the thing is, if that's what you want to hear, you talk it. You talk it. Talk it up more for yourself. Like that's totally fine. Nobody has to be on the same wavelength as you. Personally, like me, I'm just like you. When I see the game, I'm tweeting like a fan, probably, but I'm just giving random dialogue. It's just a lot of shit going on in my head when I'm watching the game. So I'm just trying to like eschew it to the timeline. And not purposely because like kind of your only outlet. If not, I'd be writing that shit on my diary. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it's weird.
And bro, and in a lot of ways, that's what Twitter is for us. It is like it's for everyone else, it may be at the end of the day, it's an outlet.
Yeah.
Right? It's a way for us to express our thoughts or our feelings. Sometimes, bro, we talking to ourselves, or you feel like you talking to yourselves.
100% of the time, I'm talking to myself.
And people are allowed to join in. But fuck, bro, could you imagine if you were sitting at home like right now, you thinking about something in your head, and your wife come in the room right now and say, "Shut the fuck up." You'd be like,
yeah,
damn, I can't even think like.
Say,
dumbass, you don't know nothing about life,
bro. The worst part about that shit is though, like you'll tweet something in the first half, like the first quarter, you'll tweet something like an observation, and then in the full quarter, somebody will come back and they'll be like, "Well, that didn't turn out how you said," and it's like,
of course, 3 quarters just went by. I mean, I would hope not.
What do you want me to do? I'm telling you some shit would have happened. You coming back? Well, Jose just made three. Dog, like I'm just saying,
Bro,
Jose. But
look, but yo, here's the thing, and this why I asked you how long you've been a Pelicans fan, because dog, if you think that I have been a Pelicans fan since they moved to New Orleans, okay, if you think that an adopted franchise from Charlotte with adopted players, if you think that I have been a fan for this long, with the way that this organization has progressed or over
lack
time
thereof, yeah.
or lack thereof, if you think I'm here to just be here or just to be upset about shit, bro, what do you think? Like, oh, it take a long time, bro. We talking 20 years. 20 years of
Yeah.
this. This ain't like you know what I'm saying? Like I think I've grown to have to have a thought like, hey, they should probably handle it this way. And there's people that ain't seen the days of Baron Davis arriving, and then after that, they're telling you how you should feel about something. Like, dog, I mean, it's been a long time watching this team. We got the right, man, to feel however the hell we choose to feel about where this team is going. And for some people, it might be as simple as this, Lito, and I want to know your thoughts. I think another angle, another breakdown of it is there's one group, one side that feels like, yo, this team as structured just needs to grow. And maybe growth from within the team, whether it be young guys, coaching, star players, health, availability, small moves around the borders, it's going to be enough for this team to elevate and grow together. That's one element, I think. You know what I'm saying? That's one side, I think. And I think the other side is that thinks that no matter how much more time goes by, no matter what type of interior roster or coaching growth happens, there are things and roadblocks in front of them that they will not be able to escape if they don't make larger changes. Like, people are saying, and I think folks are looking at it like, even if they win 50 games and saying, yo, that's fine. But if you want to compete for years and years after this, and you want to be a team that's going to be taken seriously, and you want to have flexibility to be more than just a one-off, a team that wins this amount of games and is back in the lottery next year, these are some of the changes that you may have to make or consider. Sometimes not even just make, it's considered.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple things. Everybody watches the game differently. Where you are as a fan, where you are in this particular, I'm gonna call it your basketball career, right? As a fan, a viewer of the game, where you are, the next person may not be. Maybe the next person is past that point. Maybe this is your inception into the game, right? So you might be seeing the game differently versus what Chris is seeing, or I'm seeing, or Schmidt is seeing, or Chaz or Five or whoever, Justin and Ross is seeing. So at that point, like me, you and Mike had a conversation about this. Not even looking at the ball, watching the whole court, seeing particular things that, he was supposed to do this. I know he's standing on the baseline, but this is supposed to go here. Like, why didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, just that kind of action. And I think it's fair. It's when you're a fan of the game, like you're strictly a fan, you can, maybe you are upset because you want to hear, damn, the Pelicans won by 48 points. Like, I want to hear rah, rah, rah. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we kind of gave you that yesterday, but at the same time, you playing who you playing. Like, how do you watch the game? What do you see? You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's what you want to hear, maybe, again, you talk about it, you tweet about it, you find that little pattern of Pelicans basketball. But to answer your question, I think that it's a lot of variables in that. All the time, young talent doesn't come into fruition. Um, and the thing is, you don't have time. The one thing you don't have time, and you're against the cap. So keeping the band together as good as that may feel, as much as the family environment that you want, that you believe like this is a family and not a basketball team and a business, because that's what it is at the end of the day. No matter how many
Business.
cold words you dress it up and you make it sound like. So do these pieces fit? Is this sustainable? Can this team go to XYZ? And I think that's the reason why I say for me, get out the first round of the playoffs. We've never seen Zion in the playoffs. We've seen Brandon in the playoffs. They'll be in the playoffs together, right? You have had consistent minutes with Zion, Bi, CJ, right? You see how that's working. Okay, so now this summer, regardless of however this thing turns out, you have to decide. Okay, is this successful? Do we want more of this? Can we add pieces to this, or do we need to take pieces away from this? That sometimes it's addition by subtraction, but like I mean, I'm sure. One other thing, Chris, regardless of
Hold on to that thought. Word from DraftKings, and I want you to get back to your point, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58? DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code BOOT. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expired 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.
Another example of being wrong, Lito. I mentioned earlier that the Thunder were first in the West. They ended up losing right now to the Jazz. So now they're tied for first with the Clippers, Thunder, Timberwolves, and Nuggets.
I see that. Damn.
They're all tied. All right, go ahead and finish your point.
Oh yeah, so I was just gonna say, man, like the thing about people calling out negativity or whatever like that is, you say whatever you tweet, whatever you podcast, bro, it don't affect how these guys play. Like they not what I you know what I'm saying? Like they have no reason to like my words is not going into the universe and going into Pelicans practice and traveling with them on the road. So I think like you just gotta like just live in reality with that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't remember what I think I was talking about. Like you was asking me about how to handle the situation as far as like do I believe the growth with the team can have and keep the pieces together, things like that. And I think I was saying it's just a lot of variables.
It's a lot of question marks, and I think I mean, look, man, and the other side to this is that, bro, I hope I'm wrong. If I believe that Brandon and Zion together, I don't think currently as set up that they are a top duo, right? I don't think that they've shown that they play well enough together. I don't think their games mesh as well as maybe it could. I have, I don't know if I have my thoughts about Willie Green not being the coach that gets you there. I get those that say, well, let us get to the parts where we got to make that decision. Why? If I see it now already, I got the right to say, yo, that's wrong. I see where you going. It's like, yo, you got a homie, Lito, that got a he got a small drug problem or a gambling problem. and you know you've seen people in the past, or you know of people that like, yo, I'll tell you, man, look, you ain't there yet, but this what this lead to. I'm just letting you know, like, what are my experiences, or what are my thoughts if I'm not able to go back to them? Example, I
Right.
remember when the Pelicans were a game away from making the Western Conference Finals with Chris Paul, the year they lost to the Spurs. And that offseason, they signed James Posey. And I remember thinking young then, I said, that's not enough. James is
Yeah.
solid, but that's not enough. What
Yeah.
were they betting on? Internal growth. They were betting on Julian Wright getting better. They were betting on the continued health and the best, the I won't say improvements, but yeah, you were betting on health on Pager, whose back was giving out. Chris Paul, who had some injuries. Tyson Chandler, David West. That's what you were betting on. You still had a thin bench. You had areas like betting on Jannero Parker would come back and be the same player he was at the end of that year. I kept thinking to myself, I was like, that's not enough. So then Morris Peterson starts to break down, and then out of nowhere, now you a year later, you got to make changes that you never imagined. I wished I was wrong. I hope I was wrong then, but I felt like I didn't feel there wasn't a Twitter back then. But if I had one, I feel like this ain't enough,
And
and that's
listen,
okay.
that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
like when the Pelicans made the playoffs the first time with AD, that offseason, what they do? They brought back Ashik and they brought back Agenza. I forget what other changes that were made, but Quincy Pondexter was coming back. These were the people that you were hoping on, that you were counting on. You were hoping on health and continued growth together from Tyreek, Drew, AD, Ryan Anderson and company, all those dudes that already hadn't played a bunch of time together. They ran it back. And I remember thinking then, I don't think this is enough. And it wasn't. Now maybe we're wrong here. We haven't even gotten to that part of this season, but it's okay thinking now. This is cool. This is fun while it lasts. I'm gonna have a good time. If this team makes the playoffs, I'm gonna be drunk in the city, hoping they win every game.
Absolutely.
Objectively looking at every game, talking about the good and the bad. But it's all right if I'm looking at next summer, or if I'm looking at the trade deadline, or I'm looking at whatever and saying, yo, they're kicking the can down the line for some responsibilities that's gonna be much more difficult to make. Versus maybe some of them, or one of them, or two of them should be made now, or others should be at least having a conversation of, how is this going to look? And even if you don't agree, it still should be, I see where you're coming from.
It's just a conversation, dog. Like, it don't have to be nothing else. It don't have to be name calling. Like, nobody not a real Pelicans fan because they ain't like. That's the dumbest shit. You're not a real Pelicans fan because you want, man. Shut the fuck up, man.
Been here 20 years, dog. How the fuck I ain't real?
I want to win, my dog. I want to win, bro. Like I want to do. I say this all the time. I want the Pelicans to do everything they can to make me an NBA champion. Again, how you receive the game is how you receive the game. Don't get mad at other people, bro. For instance, like we could be talking straight basketball, like on a live stream, and somebody in the chat will be like, "Man, what you think about this trade?" And we answer the question, and it's like, "Man, all y'all do is want to trade people." Bro,
and y'all was just here. You saw him type that question.
I don't like. What do you want us to do? The man asked the question, or the woman asked the question. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Shout out everybody, what I'm saying, who asked questions. We appreciate y'all, man. Because like on the real, I feel like that's how the game's supposed to be, dog. We just kicking it. We just talking basketball. Like, I'm never gonna talk to you like I'm smarter than you, like I'm better than you. Like I'm coming from a perspective where, like your question is stupid. I might not think it's the greatest question, but I'm gonna answer it. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully, I'm gonna answer it like somebody asked me yesterday how Jonas played. There was no other way to say it. He played bad, bro. He wasn't good. That was the only thing I could give you, and I wasn't being flippant with you. I was just saying you saw it and I saw it. He wasn't playing good. I'm not about to dress it up and tell you, even though Jonas is one of my favorite players on the team, I'm not about to dress it up and give you no bullshit. And I think again, man, like how people take the game in, how people see the game, let them see it that way. Nobody ain't trying to. Here's the other thing too, Chris. Like personally, when I give my opinion on it, I'm not gonna argue with you because I'm not trying to convert you to my way of thinking.
Exactly.
It just is what it is. Like if you don't believe what I'm saying, then that's cool.
That's cool. We could move up. I don't. It's just my thoughts. It's just how I'm viewing it, bro. Like my and our thoughts evolve, dog. You know what I'm saying? The way I
That's the
felt
thing.
about every day, the way I felt about Dyson Daniels in the beginning of the season, and the improvements I thought he was making, what the type of player I thought he would be, or impact he would have this year, is different. Not to say he hasn't had good games. It's different now. I'm a little bit more concerned with certain things in his offensive game. But I still like some things I saw yesterday. He dunked the basketball. I'm going to talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about things, I would like to see him do. Just as somebody who plays basketball, someone who loved basketball before I loved New Orleans. Or New Orleans having a franchise. You know what I'm saying? I love the game. And then the Pelicans arrived. The Hornets at the time. You know what I'm saying? And there's been many iterations of that team over the years. But bro, it ain't gotta be, so cut and dry. I disagree with you, so I'm a hater, or I dislike this player, or I dislike this coach. I don't think Willie Green's a great coach. You know what I'm saying? But there was a time when I thought he was a good coach. There was a time where, and I still think he's solid. You know what I'm saying? But I thought in the beginning of the year, I thought he was making some improvements in his philosophy and the way that he was seeing maybe certain things, or the staff in total, maybe some tactical things. And there's still some things that he does well that maybe we don't talk about enough. But it's okay if I don't think he's going to be a great coach. Or if I'm looking at things now that's saying, I don't know if he's the guy. That's cool. If you think he is the guy, if you think this team is going to go far with Willie Green, cool. Again, I hope I'm wrong. And if Willie Green gets this team to a championship, or eventually gets this team to a Western Conference Finals, or he's a part of a team that continually makes the playoffs, or if he's the Marvin Lewis of the NBA, you know what I'm saying? Yo, I come up here and tell you that I'm wrong. I ain't got a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? But like, why do you think the Pelicans fired Monty Williams after making the playoffs? That was
crazy.
He had a right successful year, made the playoffs. I believe his second as a Hornet / Pelicans coach. Then they let him go. They fired him. There's a bunch of reasons behind it, but they were thinking about something down the line. They did something unpopular. And there were some other things behind the scenes that I don't need to get into. But at the end of the day, they were looking forward. They took a risk. It didn't make them any better or any worse bringing in Alvin Gentry, but that's what happened. So if they can do that, why can't I, as an observer, as a person that watches every game, as the person that's been covering, putting together content, analysis, data, everything possible about this team for as long as I can remember, I can't say, Willie Green, I don't think he's the one. That's okay. Lito.
Say, bro, listen. Hold on. Before you move on from your point, I want to say something. People, I can say something from August 8th, 2021, and people are gonna be like, yo, you said this then. Bro, listen. you might feel like you could hold me to some I change my mind every day. So I don't really care whatever I said back when I said it. My opinion evolved and I don't feel like that no more. So you can't hold me to anything because I'm not just gonna feel that way. And if I change my mind, I'm just gonna change my mind. And that's just really all it is for me. Yeah, like that's
because look, dog, like it's like, if the Pelicans, it's either two ways, that this shit go. The Pelicans maybe prove you and me wrong, and let's say they go on a stretch and they start whooping the hell out of everybody. They go on this crazy streak and they climb up the stand. Like, man, this team look like they didn't turn the corner. They didn't figure something out. They might be one of them ones, or they don't, and they slip and fall down the Western Conference, in which in a few games you could go from what they at 7 right now to 9th. to 10th, and I guarantee you, a losing streak that happens and another team gets hot, or some other teams behind them, we see it happen. We saw this team lose 10 games straight last year. You never know what could happen, and when that happens, everybody starts talking about this team embarrassing us. I ain't see people super excited when Phoenix came in New Orleans and beat the hell up out of them.
What's to be excited
People was
about?
upset.
Yeah.
No. So, like, Shannon Sharp said this once, and I agree with it. He said, you should never be, what did he say? He said, you shouldn't accept anything in a win that you wouldn't accept in a loss. And that speaks volumes to me, dog. Like, because it should always be a process thing. But speaking of process, I got a few things for you, and then we gonna get up out of here. So here's shout out to Real. 10-game breakdown. Since the beginning of the year, since the first 10 games, the Pelicans have not had a 10-game. They haven't had this 10-game stretch of being under 500. 7-3, 6-4, 7-3, 5-5. What does that tell you, Lito?
That's impressive.
What does that say to you?
That's impressive. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's impressive, and it's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Besides the first 10, like after that, like that's impressive, man. Hey, listen. You know what? You know what it tells me? This is that graphic told me that this could be the making of a good team.
A good team.
Yeah.
That goes to the person, Lito, that says that's looking at the numbers. And we do a show with a few of them.
Right.
And we've done shows with others that look at the numbers and say, for the financial responsibilities that you are going to have to dish out, you gotta be better than a good team. That's gonna be the question. Here is something else here. Where is it? This is from Ball Don't Stop. Pelicans the most dangerous first round matchup because when games settle down, Brandon Ingram can dominate a whole series with his shot making. Controversial?
I don't like that take.
Why?
My personal basketball perspective, if this team is success, like unless Brandon on the heater like he was the other night, definitely, for sure. I don't. And granted, the playoffs is different. The game slows down. The midi probably gonna be more available than it is excuse me, it's gonna be more effective in the playoffs than it is in the regular season. And it might be a higher quality shot, right? It's gonna be 2 points, but it could be depending on where the shot is, right? If he free throw line extended down, if he anywhere inside the arc, inside of the 3-point line, like not foot on the line, one step forward, and like, okay, cool. But coming into the season, I said Brandon had to average 7 assists a game, 21, 7 and 7. So for me, I think Brandon gotta be the functioning point guard of the team. Like that has to be his responsibility. You've seen him try to do point Zion, and they just keep going away from it. So in my opinion, that point that he's put it back up one more time. That's crazy.
That's a little crazy.
That's a little crazy. That's a little crazy. That's a little crazy. Yeah, Pelicans moving. Yeah. Brandon is okay. So the dominate part is the only thing that I'm questioning. I think Brandon has.
He said a series.
He said a
series, Lito. And the thing about that is, yes, you can point to that. You can point to that Phoenix series, and I think that's what in his mindset or certain stretches that we've seen with Brandon. But how many consistent games have we seen him dominate with / next to Zion? It's not about what Brandon can do as an individual. It's about can he or can Zion dominate when those two are on the floor together. That's what we haven't seen enough of. So that's why when you read, that's what's interesting to me about that tweet.
That's what
We
I'm.
haven't
So
seen
that's what
him
I'm
down. Yeah.
saying. That's no, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the point. That's the point I'm making. If he's dominating the ball or dominate, because in order to dominate the series, he would have to have high usage. He'd have to have more shots than probably everybody else, right? I think this is
Maybe
just
not.
my. Well, okay. I mean,
He could be ultra efficient.
true. You know what? I'm gonna give him that because you know what? Let me say this: Brandon has the ability to be ultra efficient. You've seen that. What that I keep going back to that Memphis game where he played perfect. It was 1-2 dribble shot. It was
Yeah.
Elbow jumper turnaround over left and right shoulder shot. That was the. I think he had 14 attempts, but it was like 25 points or something like that. He was.
Yeah.
It might have not been 14 attempts. It might have been less than that. It might have been 10 attempts. I'm not saying that I want Brandon to just shoot 10 shots a game. I'm just strictly focusing on the efficiency of it. I think that. Listen, I'd love to see Brandon dominate a playoff series. I would love it, bro. Like I would love it. I don't want people to think, you know what I'm saying, there's some sort of agenda, dog. I just want the Pelicans to win. So listen, let me retract my whole statement, dog. If that's what it's gonna take for the Pelicans to win a playoff series and get out of the first round, bro, Brandon dominated. Dominate, bro. Dominate the series.
But the problem is there are folks that are watching things now and saying what is being seen, what is shown, or what is being shown against good teams, against really good teams consistently that makes you that there's a few matchups that work best, or that work better that make you believe, even in the progression of maybe some of the half court sets, how they're being utilized, what they choose to run at certain times, spacing elements, whatever the case may be that are standing in the way for that to happen, or just ultimate, overall play style. And one of the things that we've been talking about from day one with Brett, well, not from day one, but the past couple years, past 2-3
Right.
years, is that
Right.
even I remember talking about this when he got to New Orleans. I was talking with Grub, and we were talking about this is when his 3-point jumper was really a question, and it was more so of even efficiency at the time. And I remember Grub saying then he doesn't shoot enough, and then that year he makes some changes to his shot, works on some things, is healthy. He shoots the most amount of threes that he's ever shot in his career, and everything changes. Year 2, similar kind of setup. But beyond there, you see a little bit of him reverting back to, I'd say some of his pre-New Orleans years. His 3-point attempt is still higher than that. But while that style might work without Zion, it might even be more beneficial without Zion, with some of the guys that replace Zion when he's hurt, typically Trey Murphy, that automatically gives you more spaces, especially with the way Herb is shooting the basketball right now, running high screening role with Jonas, so on and so forth. But with Zion, it's totally different. And it's on him because he has the ability. Zion don't have the ability to shoot threes.
Right.
He maybe could shoot a couple a game, but we that's not something that we know that we can't say that we've seen that from him consistently. We've seen Brandon do this at some point in his life, in his career, consistently, and it matters more now than it has ever meant in regards to how this team is being defended. And in all honesty, man, I think the ceiling of this team, just simply keeping Jonas and so on and so forth, if that does happen, the Brandon and Zion relationship, if it's going to work, I think at its best, if unless you trade for a floor spacing big, and even beyond that, some of that is predicated on Brandon being willing and able to shoot and
The
adapt
basketball.
shoot the basketball and adapt to how teams are playing him and adapt to where the league has gone. And Zion isn't like Zion needs to do the same as well. but he's generational at something.
He gotta expand his game at some point very soon.
He does. I
I'm
don't.
talking. We
I don't
talking
disagree.
Zion just for clarity.
I'm talking Zion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zion needs to. We talk about all the time. Like, yo, go right and shoot a jumper. That definitely needs to happen. But when you're generational at something and finishing at the rim, people give you a little bit more slack, especially with him rounding into shape and him playing more games and all the attention the defenses are going to give him every time he's on the floor. Not saying they don't give Brandon the same attention, but he has a skill that Zion does not that unlocks more things that this team needs. And as the leader, as the person that is up for an extension, as somebody who's going to have the basketball in his hand as much, I don't think people ask him for a lot more than say, yo, bro, if you're shooting 3 a game, you're shooting 4 a game, take 5 or 6 every game.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Somebody tweeted me and they were like, man, they're not enough. There aren't sets run for Brandon to be able to do that. So I hit him. I hollered at him and I said, I think that's an excuse personally because I see other,
I think it is too.
I think I see other superstars around the league. You know, people. You know, you call him Brandon a star, superstar, whatever you want to call him. I see other players around the league who can create the shot for themselves, and they don't need particular sets ran for them. I didn't see a set run for Brandon last night when he shot 11 of them.
He just shot him, bro. It's not about the sets, though. They say it's like with Tom. They say you will make time for what you want to make time for. Seriously, if you want to go, if you could work 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, and have children and have other responsibilities. Guess what? If you want to cook, you want to work out, if that's something you're passionate about that you want to do, you'll do it. And it's the same for Bi. Like he doesn't have to have to take more. And he took 11 yesterday. He 11. Don't have to take 11 for people to be. He ain't got to take 11.
I ain't asking for 11. I swear to God, I'm not. I just want.
He could take
4.
half.
I want 4 to 5.
You and this 4 to 5 is crazy.
That's a little crazy. I'm not DJ Academics. I promise.
And for the last overlay, the last screenshot here, we got my dog, Espandar. Sorry. I've done a show I think last year about OG Anunoby and the Toronto Raptors. Does really good work over there in Canada.
Why he put the Pelicans? Why he put the Pelicans? That's Canada. Canada.
Yeah.
New country. It's a new country.
Teams with top 10 half-court offenses and defenses. Okay, see LA Clippers, Boston, and the New Orleans Pelicans.
Why he put the Pelicans like that though?
Because all those teams that he named at the top are clearly in contention for being the best, for having the best record in the NBA.
No, I'm just fucking with you. That's totally shocking. I ain't gonna lie. Like that's totally. I did not know they were top 10 on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not like there aren't some things that you look at and say, yo, there's things getting better, or it's not like you can't see progression. But I mean, look, man,
wait, hold up.
Yo,
let's just say you're a fan watching the show, right? You're a fan of the team, and you pull up that stat and you tell me they top 10 on offense and defense, and I'm asking you as a fan, Chris, so how Willie Green not a good coach? What's your response?
If you would ask me that,
yeah.
How is Willie Green not a good coach if they're top 10 in offense and defense?
If they top 10 offense and defense, if they top 10 offense and defense, it was half court?
I believe so. Hold on. I believe so. Hold on. Pull it back up here.
Half
top 10 half court offense. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Because I mean, look, let's just say that's where what's important in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Half court
so
offense.
I would. That's a really good question. I would say that the things that I subtract or that I take away from Willie Green's ability it goes beyond statistics. It goes beyond where the team falls. Like last year, I think that there was a period where they were top 10 in offense and defense. I don't know about half court offense and defense. So they've pretty much been a good defensive team ever since he's arrived. And when anywhere close to being healthy, the offense has been better, I think, outside of the first year, which was without Zion. So, like, I think that my criticisms of Willie are about tactical things. It's about, and it doesn't mean that he has to be something that he isn't. But if that is the case, then personally, you would like him to empower consistently someone who is good in those areas, because the good teams 9 times out of 10, they have that advantage. I watched Denver. I watched Golden State. OKC is a little different, and at some point they may run into an issue with the style of play that they put forward right now. But then you have teams like the Clippers, who have a good coach, who just have an overwhelming amount of talent and players that have bought in together.
Follow-up question.
Pelicans,
go ahead.
Yeah, but I didn't really answer the question. I really answer the question. I don't want to cop out. I don't want to cop out and not answer the question. Beyond that, man, I think that the things that we give Willie Green bail for, it should cause some kind of question, about either him or the staff's ability. When you're talking about, okay, he has 13 players at his disposal all the time, and he can't figure out how to get it a 10 or 9. But what the hell is Ty Lue doing? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he has to be on par with one of the best coaches in the NBA, but he has to be somewhere close. Ty Lue got PJ Tucker and Plumlee before Zubac got hurt. He had him sitting on the bench, not getting any minutes.
Yep.
And that's not the only example. I understand that every fan base has issues with their coach, but I look at and part of this ain't fair because it's things that we know or that we've heard of, behind the scenes, things that we want more of. It could come down to style and preference. I think at some point, especially in the playoffs, if they're not calling calls for Zion now, they're gonna do it in the playoffs. Who's the one that gotta step up and say, yo, they gotta fix this shit? Willie. I'd like to see him do it now. I'd like to see him be comfortable. Not saying that Jordan Hawkins is making my job difficult for me. I would like you to be comfortable with making the calls and making the decisions that have to be made now versus because it's going to get a lot more difficult when you in a series with somebody. My critiques of Willie and his style and his strengths and weaknesses and the inability of some of the creativity progressions offensively. He's the head coach. They fall on his shoulders. So, I think that goes behind just what they're doing statistically, which you could argue is strongly talent-based.
Follow-up. You gave me a lot of stats tonight about the Pelicans being a good team.
Yeah.
You gave me 10-game stretches of data, not being under 500 since the first 10 of the season.
Yeah.
Top 10 offense and defense. You told me about efficiency and all this other shit. Has Willie Green done enough to get a contract extension?
I don't think so. Like as we stand today? No. I don't think so. Because again, you are going to be financially set up like a team that's set to compete for a championship. So that means you have to believe that the head coach you have can bring that all together and hit on multiple cylinders in helping you achieve or somewhere close to that goal. in this particular situation with the coach up for an extension. I'm not saying that at the end of the year there wouldn't be a situation that would arrive where I wouldn't give him an extension. But as we're standing today, it's going to take a lot more than 29 wins. It's going to take a lot more than the team feeling like, they gotta get, like you said, get out the first round in regards to him.
I was about to ask you a big picture perspective of what he needs to do to get a contract.
He gotta, because look, more than likely, whoever they're facing in the first round is going to be it's the Western Conference right now. You're gonna have, you're gonna have a challenge against you. So if they got out the first round or they get out the first round, then I would have to say, I'm projecting, I would have to assume that Willie Green did a solid job in making adjustments, in making the right calls at the right time, bro. It's the stuff. It's just, it's stuff that we can't give answers for. Going to an all defensive lineup when you're down 20 points and you need to score points, and you just drafted this guy who's gonna come in and give spacing. The amount of blown leads that you've given up, your inability to close close games. Every game in the playoffs is going to be close. So again, I would assume if they get out the first round, he's had to make some kind of solution or some kind of progressions. But that goes back to our original discussion. You and I view this team as, we want to view this team and what is it going to take for them to be in the Western Conference Finals, having a chance to compete for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't give an extension to a coach with this roster, this current talent group, these current financial obligations, that I think is just good enough to get you to the playoffs or possibly win you a first round. I think I need a little bit more, beyond that. That's, even though it's not his job to make the changes in regards to the roster. But, man, maybe I'm wrong. And maybe Willie Green is going to continue to get better in some of these areas. But I gotta see it. And it doesn't mean he's a bad coach. It doesn't mean he's the worst coach in the league. But I'm okay just saying he's an average to an above average coach. I think that's okay. His record says he's that.
At the end of the day, this is your opinion. So, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you're allowed to change your mind.
You are. Look, Bill Parcells said your record your record is who, or it is what is it? You are what your record says you are. As a coach, Willie Green is creeping up on being a 500 head coach.
He was one. I think
he's currently now one game under 500 as a head coach in the league. And look, like, you also got to ask, even like, let's say you think Willie Green's a good coach. Is he the best coach for this group?
He 107 and 107. Yep.
Okay, so he's directly 500.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he has a chance to get over 500. That's 500. That's a C. So I mean, look, like, then is he the best to get? Is he the guy to get the most out of Zion Williamson? Is he the guy to get the most out of Brandon Ingram if you move forward with him? Is he the guy to get the most out of Trey Murphy? Is he the guy to get the most out of Jordan Hawkins? I don't personally believe so. That's my opinion. I don't believe that these guys are going to be that kind. To me, they need a creator. They need an innovator. They need someone who has offensive vision, someone who is forward thinking in the style of when today's game is played. Someone who had a little bit of crazy to him, a little bit more fire, a little bit of an asshole.
Are you asking me that question?
What is that guy?
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's my opinion. I don't know what you think, but that's how I view it.
I don't have enough I don't have enough data yet to say yes, he is that person. I think right now, if you asking me that question today, I'm gonna say no. I don't think he is that person.
Yeah.
Um, you know, you got what 214 games coached. Still a very relatively young coaching career, but the thing is, we talked about this earlier with internal growth with teams, keeping a team together. It's
Yeah.
time. It's time.
Yeah.
Time is not what you think it is. You have windows. I don't know if he's the person that gets Zion to buy in because Zion came in out of shape this season. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
we got to see it, man. I mean, like, look, people's opinion on Doc Rivers 5 years ago or 10 years ago is different than what it is now. You know, those players give him a lot of credit for that 2008 championship team, but his reputation has changed a lot since then. A lot of people point at those players that got him that championship and future jobs after that than him just straight up being a great coach. And what's his reputation beyond that? Blowing leads, not doing enough, not succeeding very far in the playoffs, and a few other things. Maybe
Doc
Willie
Rivers
Green could be Doc Rivers.
that's not good.
And think about what Doc Rivers was as a coach before he won that championship. Middle in the pack.
Doc, yes. I vividly remember that Orlando series when they was playing Milwaukee when he had T Mac and they was up 3-1 and they found a way to lose. Yo, it's so crazy you mentioned Doc Rivers. I was watching Lakers, Celtics,
Yeah.
and there's a clip of Phil Jackson telling like the Celtics are up something crazy. And Phil is basically telling them, hey, look, it's the fourth quarter. That team knows how to lose. Just let them.
Like, bro, there's certain, like, even when you listen to Joe Mazzulla talk, there's just certain. I'm not saying he's a great coach, but there's certain things that separate good to great coaches, just like with players. It's always something. What's that thing for Willie? Because if you can't think of one, what makes him much more different than what Doc Rivers would be without a championship? I remember him with Orlando on losing teams and got a couple teams under or right around 500 to the playoffs. Yeah, he dealt with shit too. He dealt with Grant Hill injuries and everything, but people don't care about that after a while. You get the Boston job, you're still a part of mediocre teams, bad teams, and almost on your way out the door. And then the front office makes a move. You win a championship. You get some sustained success beyond that, and then you get future jobs being like even today. You know what I'm saying? So, all that could change for it. But as we're talking about with certain players, and the Pelicans period, we speak from a place of projecting what we think is going to happen and what the real fact of the matter or the truth of what we think has happened, not just living in the present of today. I'm a dude. I'm not too excited and I'm not too
Yeah, absolutely.
too upset about what happens. I'm always here because you ain't
Right.
that far from from elevating, and you ain't that far from falling flat on your face. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's the truth. That's life. So look, man, regardless of how you feel about about Willie Green, I'm not a hater. I hope he succeeds. I hope he wins every game the rest of the year. I hope this team don't lose no other game. I hope they win a championship.
I
It'd be
hope they win the
great.
championship.
I hope. I just don't believe it's gonna happen. I hope that that Brandon and Zion are great as a duo. I hope they are what Willie said in the beginning, the greatest duo in the NBA. I just don't believe that it is now. But if they prove us wrong, guess what? You and me gonna look right, gonna be talking, gonna be doing another show talking about, hey, bro, we were wrong.
Hey, and then I'm gonna say, you know what? Back to back 2-time champions. Go make it happen.
Exactly. We gonna move on to the next thing. That's how it goes. Now, y'all think it's crazy now. Y'all gonna be upset. Y'all gonna be upset when if the Pelicans ever win a championship. 2 days after that, a day after that, somebody, even if it's not us, are gonna be talking about already how they repeat.
Bro, watch the heel turn. It's gonna be crazy.
It's never, bro. Like in this society where attention spans are this short, people already gonna be thinking about how they win again. Or they gotta trade this guy to win again. Like it's
bro.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you, man. But I mean, they play the Clippers tomorrow. Before we get out of here, you want to do your prediction? What you think?
I said it on the show, man. I think that they're gonna beat the Clippers. I think I think the Clippers have won 4 straight. I think that they are they're playing right. They're tied for first in the West right now. But it's one of those games where I think the Pelicans have a few matchup advantages. In the game that they beat the Clippers this year, they beat them in LA. It was on the road. And I would rather this team on the road in one of these games than at home. They haven't, their best wins this year, in my opinion, have come on the road. If you throw out some of those Sacramento games at home, and I'm sure there's a few others that I'm missing, a good majority of their wins against really good teams or impressive wins to come on the road. And I think that they have an opportunity to attack a Clippers team that's probably tired. They played a lot of games over the past week or so. This is their first game back at home. They've been on the road themselves for like 7 straight games or whatever it is. It's a chance to catch them sleeping, control the paint, control the rebounding advantage, slow them down a little bit, annoy them with a few different characters, and for Zion to have a really good game. And Brandon's going to have a few different matchups that work at his disposal as well, especially if he comes out with a similar approach that he did against Toronto and tries to stretch the floor with a few threes, man. So, but I think this is a game that they can win. I think the Clippers are a better team, but I'm picking the Pelicans to win.
I think I picked the Clippers. I think they said that I think I said that they were going 1-1 in LA. I think they'd be Portland, of course. But yeah.
Okay. I think they'll win, man. Like CJ, and CJ's been bad in a lot of these big games for a while now. Eventually he's gonna have a game, man. Eventually they're not gonna start out flat shooting the basketball as they had in these games. Like Trey Murphy's had some really good games against the Clippers, like consistently, specifically in that building. He's had some really, really good performances that I think he'll play well. Hawk ain't scared of nothing if he ends up in the game. Jonas plays well in that matchup as well. Like that's the game that I think the Pelicans match up better than I think people think. They got some things on film for what they did wrong the last time they faced them, and I think it's a decent matchup for them to have an opportunity to win. If not, it will be close. All right,
no doubt.
All right, man. Well, appreciate y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed this show. If not, hey man, get in the comments and tell us how much y'all love the show or hated the show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Pelicans over, underrated. Y'all answer the question going into the trade deadline. Lito say somewhere, he says rightfully rated. I'm kind of there as well. I don't think a 7 seed can really be overrated at this point. Maybe a little overrated by certain parts of the fan base, but it's all right. But all in all,
I sit here and we zone out, you dig, and just appreciate how it came and thank God for the blessings.
Straight up.
You put your fingers up like you about to say something else.
Oh, my bad. I was gonna say in the comments. I wanted to say in the comments, put if you believe Willie deserves a contract extension, and give your reasoning for it.
Yeah.
I'm out of town, I'm in Hong Kong. I'm just trying to get this cash in Hong Kong. I don't care about fighting, I'm in Hong Kong. Nigga coming looking for me, I'm in Hong Kong. I just went to the store and got a honey bun. My mama just called, said you got some money, son. I forgot what time it is, I'm in Hong Kong. If they looking for me, tell them that I'm long gone.